Mr. Johnson got into a car accident and spent a month in a hospital. He got amnesia and he forgot some things. He didn't have any family, and after a month, he finally returned home. He found his street, but then he realized he didn't remember which of the two houses was his house. Can you guess which house belongs to him? In this house, the lawn is nicely mowed, but Mr. Johnson lives alone, so his house must be the other one. On Monday, a high school student, Lily, went missing. Her parents called the police when their daughter didn't return from school after getting a call from the principal. Mrs. Evans, the principal, said, "Lily left before the last class. She wasn't feeling well, so she asked permission to go home. I called her parents and they allowed it. She left her scarf here." Mr. Richards, the music teacher, said, "She visited my class, but I noticed that she didn't feel well." Mrs. Davis, the school librarian, said, "I saw her when she came to the library to study after classes, but after that, I didn't pay much attention to her." Who should be arrested for further investigation? Mrs. Davis is the suspicious one. If Lily asked to come home before the last class, I doubt she'd go to the library to study after classes. There's Lily's scarf in Mrs. Evans' office, but Lily indeed was there, so the principal is not suspicious. Jenny went out one night and got bitten by a zombie. Oh my. Still, she woke up the next morning and was fine. How is it possible? Pay attention to the calendar on the wall. The morning is November 1st, which means that the previous night was Halloween. It's not a real zombie that bit her, but just a person dressed in a costume. Well, that's still creepy. Lizzie is walking in a forest, but it's getting dark. She needs to get out as soon as possible until wild animals come out to hunt. She's at a crossroads, but no road looks safe. If she goes north, the path will take her into the giant black hole ready to swallow her up. If she goes south, she'll stumble into a lake full of huge whale sharks. If she goes west, she'll end up at the edge of a ginormous hole in the ground that can't be crossed. And if she goes east, the path will take her to a sky-high mountain which is impossible to climb over. Which way should Lizzie choose to get out of the forest as soon as possible? She most certainly needs to go south. Whale sharks are no threat to people, and they'll let Lizzie swim across the lake without any problems. And we'll ignore the fact that whale sharks live in the ocean, not lakes. Yes, I'm picky. One night, Nell wakes up in an old, spooky castle. She can hear someone coming, so she runs faster and faster until she suddenly runs into a dead end. There are 3 doors, but behind each door there are some terrifying creatures. Behind the first door, there is a group of zombies. Behind the second door, there's a big werewolf. Behind the third door, a vampire is waiting for her to feast on her neck. Which way should she choose to survive? Nell should escape through the second door. It's not the night of the full moon, so the werewolf isn't dangerous. Alice, a treasure hunter, got lost in a forest. After wandering around for a little bit, she noticed a big stone in the middle of the crossroads with some weird code carved on it. Can you crack the code and figure out which direction should Alice go to get out of the forest? If Alice turns the stone around, or more likely, her head, the symbols of the code will turn into the word south. So, it appears she should go south. One rainy day, Mrs. Palmer came back home after work. Her neighbor walked past her, and they had some small talk, from which Mrs. Jonas learned that one of her daughters was spotted on a date in a cafe. All three of her daughters were grounded and couldn't go out. So Mrs. Palmer asked her daughter what they had been doing. Meg said, "I was studying for the math test I have on Thursday." Alice said, "I was gardening outside all day." Nell said, "I was cleaning my room." Mrs. Palmer figured out who it was. Can you? It's Alice. "It's been raining all day. I doubt she'd spend it outside gardening. It's not the best day for it." A woman has 3 daughters, Willow, Meadow, and Brooke. She's about to have another daughter. What do you think she'll name her? Aurora, Allison, or Tessa? The woman seems to choose nature-inspired names for her daughter. So her 4th daughter's name will likely be Aurora. And if it's a boy, I'd vote for Sky or Forest. The prom is approaching. 2 best friends, David and Logan, both want to ask out the same girl. So the friends decided to ask Ruby's best friend which of them Ruby liked more. The girl didn't want to share her best friend's secrets, but she gave the boys a hint. Ruby loves oregano but hates mint. Her favorite color is aqua, but she can't stand green. In her free time, she likes gardening, but she has never been interested in cleaning. Her favorite animal is an alpaca, but she's afraid of llamas. Which of the boys does Ruby like? Remember, the friend wanted to give a hint, so the boys should look for patterns. Everything that Ruby likes starts and ends with the same letter. So, following this logic, Ruby likes David, and Logan ends up with Ruby's best friend. Oliver is terrible at packing. Whenever he goes somewhere, he always takes stuff he'll never need. So he needs your help to do some packing. This time, he's going on a business trip, and he will stay in a hotel. So what is the item he packed that he won't need there? A big towel isn't necessary. Every hotel provides guests with them. Now, this is a backpack with stuff that Oliver packed for a camping trip to the woods with his friends. Which item doesn't belong there? An electric hairdryer. There's no electricity in the forest. And the last suitcase we'll take a look at is the suitcase that Oliver packs for a week-long vacation trip to Spain. Which item will he not need there? Look, there's a forecast on his laptop, and it says all sunny. Then why does Oliver need an umbrella? Well, he doesn't, so he can leave it behind. Esme was having a walk in the forest and got lost. She found a witch's house, walked in, petted a cat, and asked the witch to take her home. The witch was busy preparing a new spell. She agreed to take Esme home, but only if Esme helped her first. She had 1 magical stone and 11 copies of it. They were all identical, but the original one was heavier. The witch had a scale, but that scale only weighed properly the first 3 times. So how can Esme find the original stone with 3 weights? She should split the stones into 3 groups of 4. First, she should weigh 2 of those. Let's say that they are the same weight. Then the original stone is in the 3rd group. She should take the 3rd one, split the marbles into 2 groups of 2, and weigh them. The heavier one has the original stone. So the 3rd time she just weighs those 2. If during the first weighing, one of the groups was heavier, then Esme should take that one and do the same procedure with that group of stones. Okay, now let's have a bit of fun with emojis. I'll show you a combination of emojis, and your task is to guess the movie. Sound good? Here's the first one. It's Chronicles of Narnia, a great movie. Did you guess it right? Okay, here's the next one. Can you guess the movie? Yeah, that's way too easy. Of course, it's Titanic. How about this one? It's Boss Baby. Okay, I only have 2 more for you. How about this one? The only movie about a chef mouse, Ratatouille. Okay, and the last one is extremely hard, but I believe in you. Maybe think a bit outside the box. This wasn't easy, huh? It's Wonder Woman. Good job. Bye for now.
Lilibet has always wanted to get a cat, but her mom wouldn't allow her to get one. Once, she found a kitten on the street and brought it home. She knew her mom would make her take it to the shelter, so she decided to hide it. Once, Lilibet's mom walked into the room and realized there was a cat living in her daughter's room. How did she understand it? There is no trace of a cat at the first sight, but look, the bed sheets are covered in white cat hairs. Amanda works at a gas station in a city suburb. It's so calm and quiet there that one day she only had 3 customers. The first one got something to drink, the second one got some chocolate bars, and the third one just paid for gas. One of them was a criminal, and Amanda reported him to the police. Who is the criminal, and how did she understand it? The second man paid with a $15 bill. Such a bill doesn't exist, which means he'd been printing money. John was on the expedition to the North Pole. One day, he woke up in a frozen cave. He didn't remember what had happened, but he had to get out fast. There were 3 doors. Behind the first one, there was a room filled with poisonous gas. Behind the second one, there was a huge lake. Behind the third one, there were 3 hungry polar bears. Which door should he choose to stay safe? He should pick the second door. He's on the North Pole, it's cold, and the lake must be frozen, so he doesn't have to swim to cross the lake. Mrs. Adams came back home. She had 3 teenagers, and all of them happened to be grounded at the same time. She noticed that the car was parked differently outside, so she figured that one of the teens drove somewhere. She asked who had taken the car, but no one admitted. Atlas said that he had spent the whole day outside gardening and just returned home a few moments ago. Chloe said that she had spent the day in her bedroom studying. Emilia said that she had been reading and exercising. Who lied? Of course, it's Atlas. Look at the way he's dressed. Who spends the day in the garden wearing a tuxedo? More like he just came back from a date. Mr. and Mrs. Olson are a married couple living in a house with 4 housemates. One day, Mr. Olson came back from work and found Mrs. Olson unconscious. Detective Callum arrived to investigate the case, and the 4 housemates were the main suspects. Ayla said that she had spent the last 2 hours in the kitchen. Ben said that he had been painting in his room all day. Chloe said that she had been swimming in the pool for at least 3 hours. Dean said that he had been reading a book in the garden. The detective asked all of them to show their hands and identify the liar. Who is the liar? It's Cleo. If she had spent 3 hours in the pool, her fingers would have been wrinkled, but they're perfectly fine, so she must have lied. Okay, now it's time to challenge your attention. Each time I'll show you 2 photos and you have to tell me which person isn't being smart in the situation. Here's the first set. Damon and Carter are both stay-at-home husbands doing house chores. Which one of them isn't smart? That's the guy on the right. He's watering the flowers, but there's no need to do it because it's pouring outside. Okay, here's another pair. On the left, there is Celeste. She's grilling the meat for a family barbecue. On the right, there's Gianna, who's vacuuming the house while listening to music. Who is not smart at all? It's Celeste. There's a gallon of gas standing right under the grill. It's very dangerous. The gas is flammable. And the last one. Here are 2 families posing for pictures. Which family isn't being wise? It's this family right here. Did you notice there's a huge branch cracking right over them? Caleb just got a big sum of cash from the bank. He was walking past a grocery store when he suddenly felt bad and fell unconscious. A young girl, Hannah, was passing by, so she reached out to help him and called the ambulance. Soon the man came back to his senses. He reached out to check the money, but it wasn't there. Someone stole the money during all the fuss. The police had 3 suspects: Hannah and 2 other pedestrians that walked past them. Who is the thief? Look, there are 2 types of footprints leading to Caleb. One pair belongs to him, and the other one belongs to Hannah. But there's also another pair, a pair of footprints with a little hole next to it, which must be the print from a stick. So the thief must be a person walking with a stick, and it's this man. Mrs. York is a rich lady with a large collection of jewelry and expensive tea sets. Once, her daughter-in-law Haven came to visit for a week. On the 3rd day, Mrs. York noticed that a silver cup from her most expensive tea set had disappeared. She said Haven was a thief and called the police. She showed them her collection and the shelf, but the police didn't believe Mrs. York.
No.
Why? The spot where the cup was supposed to stand was just as dusty as the rest of the shelf. It means that nothing had been standing there for a long time. A famous writer was living alone on a farm far away from the city and never went outside. The only people she ever saw were her cook, her gardener, and a cleaning man. One day before breakfast, the cleaning man found the writer in a bad health condition and called the ambulance. The doctor concluded that the writer was poisoned. The cook said that he had been busy looking for new recipes. The gardener said that he was outside doing his job. The cleaning man said he had just came to start the job when he found the writer. Who poisoned the writer? It must be the cook. It happened right before breakfast, but he wasn't cooking anything. He knew that no one would need to eat because she was the reason it happened. Naya was on vacation, and her parents needed some old books she had for their yard sale. They had spare keys, so they called Naya and asked her if they could go to her apartment and get them. Naya agreed, and that's what her parents did. When they walked into her apartment, there was a young man there. He introduced himself and told them that he was Naya's friend and that he was coming here to water her plants. Naya's parents didn't believe him and called the police, reporting a robbery. Why? Look around. There's not a single plant in Naya's apartment. It's a very poor excuse. Okay, let's relax a bit and train your eyes. I'll show you some photos. In each photo, there are numbers from 1 to 9 hidden except for 1. Your task is to find all numbers and identify which one is missing. Here's the first one. Which number from 1 to 9 isn't in the photo? Correct. There is no number 4. Okay, now something a bit harder. A new photo, but the task is the same. Which number is missing? Now there is no number 9. Let's do a couple more. Here it is. What do you say? This time, it's number 6 that's missing. The task is getting harder, and numbers aren't so easy to find anymore. But I believe in you, so go ahead. What do you say this time? There's no number 2. That's right. Okay, the last one of these. Concentrate and give me the right answer. Yes, number 8 isn't there. Great job!
Adam was driving home late at night when he noticed he was about to run out of gas. He stopped at a gas station to fill his gas tank and buy some snacks. Inside, there was a cashier and another customer dressed in black. When Adam came up to the employee to pay, she told him $5.05. Adam paid, went outside, and called the police to report an emergency. Why did he do it? The cash register showed $18.35, but the cashier said $5.05, which looks like SOS. You have a sock drawer. It has 4 black socks, 8 brown socks, 2 white socks, and 8 tan socks. You need to pull out a matching pair of socks in the dark. There is no light and you can't see the socks. Well, that'll teach you to pay your electric bill on time. Meanwhile, how many socks do you need to pull out in the dark to get one matching pair of socks? Five. You only have 4 different colors of socks. If you pick 5 socks, you will definitely get 1 pair of matching socks. A fairy had an assistant, Dwarf Martin. Once, the fairy asked Martin to visit a powerful wizard and pick up 3 potions she had ordered. The dwarf received the parcel, but on his way back, he got into a real trap. In front of him, there were 3 doors, and he couldn't get past them. He had to go through one of them. But behind the first one, there was a bottomless abyss. Behind the second door, there were venomous spiders. Even their webs were poisonous. And the third door was hiding a raging fire. Martin couldn't choose the door, but he came up with an idea. He decided to use one of the potions the wizard had given him. He had the potion of invisibility, the potion of speed, and the potion of forgetfulness. Which potion should Martin drink, and which door should he choose? His best option is to drink the potion of speed and dash through the fire so it doesn't really hurt him. Detective Brown rushed to an expensive restaurant. Someone had stolen a gold spoon there. If the detective didn't find the real culprit, the waiter would have big problems. Luckily, there were still a lot of people in the restaurant, and Detective Brown questioned the main suspects. A group of friends said they were celebrating a birthday. They wouldn't spoil their party this way. A cheerful man said he'd just been wandering about and had dropped by to check out this place. And a weird-looking guy answered that his wife had left him, and he had come to the restaurant to take his mind off his problems. Can you help the detective find the criminal? The second man lied. He said he had been to this restaurant for the first time. But look, he's wearing a hat with the restaurant's logo. Gotcha. Look at these three people who seem to be having fun. They're hanging on a tree, but one of them is a ghost. Can you guess who it is? The woman on the left has just rolled her eyes. That's why she looks so creepy. The guy in the middle is wearing a mask. But unlike the others, the hair of the lady on the left ignores gravity. She must be the ghost. Brave warrior Richard set off on an adventure together with his two assistants. Once he came across a kingdom where a princess was locked in a high tower. Richard decided to save her and, who knows, maybe even marry her later. First things first, he went to the king, but the ruler didn't give the warrior any hints. Luckily, Richard's assistants found a secret map, but they weren't bright enough to figure out what it meant and which window of which castle Richard needed to climb into to save the princess. Can you help them? First, we need to determine which castle is the right one. Aha, here it is. Just look at its windows. Now, we just need to follow the arrows and find the correct window. Yep, that's right. A very large truck needs to cross a 20-mile-long bridge. Unfortunately, the bridge can only hold the weight of 10,000 pounds. Even a single extra pound will make the bridge collapse. Luckily, the weight of the truck is exactly 10,000 pounds. The driver moves the car carefully and crosses almost 85% of the distance of the bridge. He stops to get a small break when suddenly a bird lands on the truck. What's going to happen now? Is the bridge going to collapse? The bridge won't collapse. The truck has already traveled 85% of the total distance and has used some gas, so the extra weight of the bird doesn't add any extra load to the bridge. There is a boat with a ladder attached to it. This ladder is 8 feet long. If the water rises 4 feet, how much of the ladder will remain over the surface of the water? Still 8 feet. The rising water will lift the boat, and the ladder is attached to the vessel. Ruth had just moved into a new house and was busy with boxes. Meanwhile, while she was distracted, someone took her laptop. The girl went over to her new neighbors, hoping that one of them had seen something. Eric told her that he had been staying at home with a fever the whole day. Emma said she didn't even know a new neighbor was coming. And Jonathan said he just got home from his office. Who took Ruth's laptop? Look at Jonathan's car. It's covered with a thick layer of snow. The man lied. He hadn't been to work. One wizard catches people and then makes them choose between two doors. Behind one of them, there's an unfriendly, to put it mildly, dragon. And behind the other, there's a chest filled with gold. The ones who pick the right door become rich and are allowed to leave the castle. But if it's the wrong door, well, the outcome is much more tragic. There are two signs on the doors. One lies and the other is truthful. On the first door, it's written, "The treasure is here. The dragon is in the next room." The other sign says, "The treasure and the dragon aren't in the same room." Where's the gold? The chest with the treasure is in the second room. The second statement is true, which means the first one is false. Can you find all the emojis hidden in this picture? So how many have you spotted? There are actually 5 emojis here. Have a look. What about this picture? How many emojis can you spot here? Look at that, 6 emojis. Have you found all of them? A man is thinking about how fast his life is flying by. The day before yesterday, I was 34, and next year I'll be 37. The man hasn't made any mistakes in his calculations. Can you guess what day his birthday is? The man's birthday is on December 31st. He's thinking about it on January 1st. The day before his birthday, he was 34. The next day, he turned 35. A new year started the next day, and that year, he's going to turn 36. And he will be 37 the following year. Ooh, look at this! A car has crashed into a restaurant window, smashing it. Detective Harris has come to investigate the case. There are 2 suspects, Julie and Douglas, but each of them claims that the other person did it. Can you help the detective figure out who's lying? It's Julie. The tire tracks on the ground belong to her car. Look at these 3 men. They're at the airport. Can you figure out which of these guys is married? All these men are holding their passports and tickets in their hands. None of them is wearing a wedding ring. But if you pay attention to the man sitting on the bench, you'll notice that on his ticket, it's written family discount. So he must be the one who's married. That's it for today. So hey, if you pacified your curiosity, then give the video a like and share it with your friends. Or if you want more, just click on these videos and stay on the bright side.